Hi everyone and welcome to Divine Money Matters, and today's webinar is the Divine Debt Resolution. So let's get started. Just going to share my screen with everyone. So welcome to the Divine Debt Resolution webinar. All these webinars always start with a bit about the host. So here it is. My name is Roz and I'm a money and biz coach with a difference at Divine Money Matters. I have over 15 years experience in finances, over 20 years experience in healing, and 12 years experience as a coach. I've cleared over $100,000 in personal debt myself and have helped many others find their own clarity around their money, business, and career. Now, I'm a single mom to a beautiful little girl who's 2 years old, so please don't ask me about my hobbies at the moment because I don't have any. I'll be honest, I've got none. Now, let's talk about you. Who are you? Why are you here? If you're here at the Divine Debt Resolution webinar, you're probably fed up, frustrated, or even overwhelmed by your money at the moment. That's a good thing. Having those feelings means you know this money thing is not working for you at the moment and you want it to feel better. So let me tell you, you're in the right place to begin that journey. I'll support you with love and a firm voice telling you that you have got this. What we're going to go through today is all the information I take everyone through on my Divine Debt Resolution e-course and coaching program. It's a speedy version, I'll be honest, and at the end of the webinar, I'll have about 10 minutes for questions. So if you have something you'd like to ask, write it down and let me know. When I do any of my courses or coaching or events, I have 4 areas that I go through to help people get to a better financial situation. These are mindset, you, money, and intuition. I've got to be honest, money and intuition, it's mandatory. It's not an optional extra. Both have pulled me out of financial poo and physical harm more times than I care to count. I know people can find these terms a little bit disengaging, so I also use these terms, which you'll see underneath them. I talk about getting calm, getting clear, getting certain, and getting confident with your money. Now, I may use get calm or mindset interchangeably as they mean the same thing to me. But here is what I hope they mean to you by the end of the webinar. Getting calm means we pull ourselves out of the hurricane of fear, busyness, and overwhelm to a calm place where we can hear ourselves think. Getting clear is where we work out what is actually important to us. We find out about our beliefs and values, and we find out what's important to us, not what we've been told to by family, friends, media, social media, and other outside sources who think it's important we do what they say or they're just trying to sell us something. Here in Get Clear, you tell me what you really want. Get certain. We look at the different ways you can help pay your debts. So this is where we really start to talk about the money. We look at what debts you have, what the cost of the debt is to you financially, how much additional cash you may have to pay the debt off, and we talk about things like, do you have a buffer? Are you currently meeting all the minimum payments? And if not, what are your options? Get confident. This is the intuition. Now, we all know a lot about our debts, and we can often feel very overwhelmed by them. But inside all of us is a deep knowing of how we can best pay that off in a way that doesn't feel like we've completely restricted and cut ourselves off from everything, in a way that allows us to still have fun and enjoy our life and provide well for our family. There is a way to do that. So when we engage with our intuition, we're always looking at what is the best way to pay off this debt, not necessarily what is the fastest or what is the biggest, most drastic way I could pay it down, but what is the best? And all the way through your whole debt repayment journey, we're going to look at celebrating. We don't just celebrate at the end, we celebrate all the milestones that we get. Alrighty, so let's get calm. This is a Kundalini yoga peace exercise that I use, and I'll see if I can just hide this for now so you can see me. No, won't let me do it. Okay, so with this Kundalini exercise, what we do is we put our thumb to our first finger and say peace. We put our thumb to our middle finger and we say begins. We put our thumb to our ring finger and say with. We put our thumb to our little finger and say me. Now you may choose to use your left or right hand, it's up to you, but we go peace begins with me. So deep breath in, everyone. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Okay, so here we go. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And now I will do it on either hand or both at the same time sometimes. So peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And I find that a really quick and easy way to move into a calm place, to just get my mind to settle down and really start to engage with I guess my intuitive voice, because that's really. All right, now we'll look at getting clear. Now, getting clear involves a bit more work than people normally expect. With my VIP coaching, my Count Your Blessings courses, we do a lot of work on how our values and beliefs interact and impact on our money, because it's huge. The values that you hold will determine how you decide to spend your money, or how you decide to save your money, or how you decide to share your money. And that all impacts the flow of money into and out of your life. It may even impact how you decide to earn your money. So that's things that I do look at in my more detailed courses. But for my debt resolution course, the two things we really want to look at is what do you want and what don't you want. And the reason why I always include what don't you want is because normally when I ask people, so tell me what you do want when it comes to your debt, they look at me completely blankly. Like I've said, so when can you provide me with your kidney? It's just either deer in the headlights or shock or complete incomprehension of what I've just said. So what I find is I go, okay, so what is it that you don't want when it comes to debt? And things that people will say is, I don't want to be in debt forever. I don't want to be in debt anymore. I don't want to not be able to pay my bills when they come in. I don't want to feel so stressed and anxious and worried about money all the time. And that's probably the one I hear the most. And I don't want to feel stupid with my money anymore. I hear that one quite a bit too. Once I've got someone to express to me what they don't want, it's much easier for them to go, okay, so what is it you do want? And then they can tell me, well, I want to have the money to pay my bills, or I want to know what's going out and when. I want to be able to do nice, fun things with my family without worrying about the cost. I want to know that I don't have to keep working at a job I hate to pay all the debts all the time. I want to be debt-free. And really underneath all of that is I want to feel safe. I want to feel like I'm good with money. Did any of these ring a bell for you? Would you like to share some of your own? Maybe just jot them down for yourself. You're like, well, hold on. What don't I want when it comes to my debt? What don't I want when it comes to my money? Understand in a public forum, it can sometimes be a bit confronting, and that's not what we want to do. But now we've answered those questions, what I get people to do is every time they do their debt resolution plan, I get them to ask again, what is it you do or don't want with your money? Whatever's easier for them to answer first. Alrighty, we're going to move into the big stuff now. We're going to get certain. When I get people to start to talk to me about their debt, I start with the basics. I start with the money stuff. I ask, so how much do you owe? What do you owe? How much do you owe? Do you know the interest rate on it? Do you know what your minimum payment is? And do you know when it's due? A lot of people aren't too sure, and I actually have a special one-page budget that people can stick on their fridge so they can see exactly when everything is coming out. One page on the fridge covers a year. You can see when your rate's coming out. You can see when your credit card bill is coming out. You can see when your telephone's coming out. It's just so you can get clear and feel really certain about where your money is going and when. Now, when I ask people about the minimum payment, I also ask them, do you have a buffer of cash that should there be some sort of financial bump in the road that you can protect yourself with? They're the two questions I really start off with. Once we've collected the information, I go, can you meet your minimum payments? And do you have a buffer of cash? If the answer is yes to both those questions, I will step us into the intuitive work and create a workable debt repayment plan. That's what we'll do. So let's say the answer is yes. Before we do the intuitive work, one thing I always suggest to anyone who has a credit card debt is that we move it to a 0% interest credit card with a lower annual fee, and we can cut up your card. I always suggest this anytime a credit card appears. Because then we just move straight into the get confident stage and set up a repayment plan, because your credit card may not be the first thing you want to pay off, but at least we can make sure we're not adding to the debt as you pay off other things. What if you want to keep your credit card debt? If you want to keep your credit card, because some people do really well with it. They can pay it off full every month and they use the reward points to get things for their family. The one thing I'll say if you say that to me, I want to keep my credit card, is I will go, okay, how good have you been at paying off the full balance every month? Now, I know me, and I know I am not good at that. So I don't keep a credit card hanging around because I will just get in more trouble. One of my values is that I love to be of service to people. And how I'll be of service to family members or friends is I'll go, if I've got my credit card, I'll go, yeah, sure, I'll buy lunch, or I'll do this, or I'm the person who will never, ever, ever allow you to pay. That's what I used to be anyway. I'm not that anymore. But I know me, and I'm really clear on me, and I am not good with a credit card, so I clear that off. You can see the example I've got here. I've got a credit card of $5,000 at 21% interest. That's a standard interest rate. A car loan at $12,000. 8% is, depending on which way you went, it's either low or high. And afterpays. Now, afterpays are new on the market. And while they're not, they seem like a good idea because there's no interest to them, and you've given yourself a bit more time to pay for something. But if you don't know, or you can't meet the minimum payments for all your debts, you have no buffer in cash, Afterpay is just spending more money that you don't have. And not only that, with Afterpay, if you cannot make your minimum payment, the interest rate is really high. They make 17% of their profit in late fees. Okay, so unless you are really sure about all your money and you know that your afterpay, you can buy something and you have that cash to spend, afterpay is just another way of really crippling yourself financially. So if you are meeting your payments, like I said, that's what you do. But what if you're not meeting your minimum monthly payments? Again, I would recommend afterpay is not for you, and to clear that debt as quick as possible. Um, we can also look at consolidating, and people don't often do this, but you can consolidate your credit card and your car loan onto one loan. So you can see there you'd be paying $325 a month on those two loans. But if you merge them together, you could get a $17,000 loan that you pay off longer, and it could reduce the payment by $100 a month, which could help you set you up and just give you some freedom to create a buffer and ensures you're meeting your minimum monthly payments. Okay, so there's lots of options, and if we were doing coaching together, I would go through what some of the options are for you. And what if you've done those things and you still can't meet the minimum monthly payment? It's not time to end everything. It's not time to give up. It's time to start talking to people. This is when you start to talk to people, the people you owe money to, and see what you can do. You might be able to, and in hardship times, or there's been some sort of issue come up, you can reduce the payments down for a limited time. What you need to do on the phone conversation is you need to be able to provide a time frame of how long the payment will be lower and when you expect to get the debt back to being up to date. Okay. Now, the thing to remember here is the person you owe money to just wants to be paid. And if the payment falls behind, they just want to know that you can catch up on it. If the person on the other end of the phone is rude, they might have some money issues of their own. Just ask to speak to their supervisor. You're still a customer and you're still doing the right thing, and you should be treated with respect and courtesy. Number two would be, again, to lower the interest rate on the credit card so at least you're still not falling behind. Okay, and this is a trickier conversation, but what happens if it's still not working? If it's still not working, you can speak to a financial counsellor. Now, here in Australia, they're free. Okay, so before you go to a company that's going to charge you to take care of your bills or your payments or your debts, find their ASIC website, and I've got it on my website, are the free contact numbers that you need to get a free financial counsellor and see how they can help you, because they can help you work out what the best strategy is for you, but they can also help you work out who you need to talk to, how you need to talk to them, and what you can share with them to really get your situation cleared up. Okay, so there's a lot of steps before pulling the pin and going bankrupt. And if you've seen any of my videos, you know I've already done a video on my parents going bankrupt. Still wasn't the absolute worst thing in the world. Not a fun thing, but not the worst thing. Okay, and they were able to pull themselves out of it. But there is help if you cannot meet your minimum monthly payments. Now, what if you can meet your minimum monthly payments, but you don't have a buffer? Okay, so not having a buffer means, say you needed to claim insurance on your car. You don't have the $800 or $400 or whatever it is to pay the for the insurance, to pay for the claim. Alrighty, so all you need to do then is start to build that buffer. I would recommend, if you're meeting your minimum payments, build your buffer first. Now, you may want to just have the amount that you might need to pay for your insurance claims to be met. You might want to have $1,000 sitting in your account. You may just need to have food money for the week as a savings that you can go, okay, if I need to really tighten everything up, at least I've got this $200 sitting there. I know I can access that. So once you have a buffer that you feel comfortable with, we then start to pay down your debts. So make sure you can meet your minimum payments, make sure you have a buffer, so if there is a bump, if there is a hiccup, that you can make sure you can take care of yourself and your family. Alrighty, like I said, debt repayment should never create more stress for you. It should help alleviate stress and make life that much better and lighter for you each and every month that you go through it. Now, I also have people who will say to me, I have no idea if I can meet minimum payments, and I have no idea if I have a buffer. So now what do I do? So if you don't know if you can create a buffer or meet minimum monthly payments, you are placing yourself in a high stress situation that can create a bit of risk financially for you because you don't know where you are with your money. Now, I would highly recommend that you watch the Budget Bliss video on YouTube. You can attend the Budget Bliss e-course so you really know what's coming in, what's going out, and where everything's going. Or I do a 2-hour coaching session for Budget Bliss and help you set yourself up and really get an understanding of where your money is coming and going. In the meantime, though, for this webinar, what I ask everyone to do is just have a guesstimate. At least a guesstimate. A guesstimate is better than not knowing at all. And just guess how much, go, okay, well, I know that comes out and that comes out and that comes out, and just write down what you think in these categories you would spend each month. If it's easier for you, do it each week. And what you would spend each week to get all these things paid. So there's house, there's transport. Normally everyone has those. You may not have educational debts. You may not have kids. You're definitely still going to want to have health and food, and everyone needs entertainment. I would love to say, look, how you pay off all your debt is you scrap all your entertainment, you live off baked beans for the rest of your life, and you get it all paid in a year. But I can guarantee you, the big you, your intuition, is never going to say, have a miserable life for a year and clear all your debt. Honestly, clearing your debt is not that important. Having a happy life is paramount. Okay? So we go through, we just get some monthly amounts down or weekly amounts, and then we work out what our income is. And if we can subtract our income from all our bills and from our debts, then we know, okay, we've got this buffer of money. We've got this little bit of extra wiggle room. And you can either use that to create your buffer if you don't already have one, or you use that to pay down more debt once you've got the buffer already set up. Now, I always recommend that you keep adding to your buffer as you're paying down your debt. So never use all your money that you have spare just to pay down your debt. That's something we really need to be aware of at the moment. Alrighty, now we're going to get intuitive, and this is probably the most shocking part people have when they come and work with me. We're getting what now? And the truth is, your inner knowing is really, really important. That guidance will ensure that you are paying down debts, but you're not living a horrible life. You're not living an unfulfilled life. You're not sacrificing everything to pay down a debt and then get to the end of it and realize, well, I've actually missed out on a lot with my family and my friends. Now, there will always be someone on this planet who's happy to tell you what you should do now is, and they may be telling you to share their wisdom and their experience, or just to sound smart and knowledgeable, or they may want to sell you something. So with the get confident part and the get intuitive part that we're going to do now, what we're really trying to find out is what's best for you. Because here is a fact. I do not know your personal situation, especially in a webinar. I do not know what your emotional baggage with your debts is, and I don't know what your full financial situation is. I might, in my infinite wisdom, say pay down the credit card first. It's the smallest amount with the highest interest rate, but hopefully we'll move it to 0%, and we'll get the most bang for our buck out of that. Now, what I don't know is that your car is costing you a fortune in fuel and maintenance, and while the loan amount is $12,000, you think if you sell it, you'll only get about $6,000 for it. You're really worried about it continuing to fall apart, and you'll end up having no car and a car loan. So remember, you know more about your life and your money than any expert ever will. You might have gotten a little distracted or off track, but the fact that you're here and you're learning shows you're getting it all sorted. I can share with you my 15 years of knowledge of money and 20 years of intuitive development, but I still don't know you and your situation as well as you do. I always want to make that really, really clear. So what we do is to get into that intuitive space is we get calm. You may meditate. You may use oils. You may use that peace begins with me. You may use the Ho'oponopono. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And that's a great one for money because it really moves you towards forgiveness. And often the person we need to forgive the most with our money is ourselves. So there's myriad of ways that you can get calm. Once you're calm, you can then get tuned in. And once people are calm and tuned in, I get them to ask some questions. Now, I get them to look at their debt and rate how they actually feel about it. One would be, I have no issue with that debt. It's there, but it'll go. Or 10 being, this is the worst thing I have ever done. And I do have some people who come in with debts and maybe it was from a relationship and they've just somehow, they call it STDs, a sexually transmitted debt. But it could have a lot of emotion around it, a lot of triggers and a lot of pain. We then ask the big you, what do I feel I should focus on first? What debt do I think I should clear first? And then you sort of look and you go, okay, do I have either a time frame that I think is best, or do I have an amount of money that I think I should pay to clear these debts? We start to ask those questions and we start to look at our debts through an intuitive, objective, calm place, and we start to get some answers. We start to really be able to create a debt resolution plan because we know which debt we want to get rid of first, how much we can pay it off, and how long it may take us to do it. Now, I always believe that if you have a debt that is just causing you so much emotional pain, it's just horrendous for you to deal with all the time, pay that one first. Because once you've cleared that feeling and once you've cleared and empowered yourself with paying it, you can really start to move forward on all the other stuff. Now, we've got some of our answers. It's time to do a little table. So I'm just using an example of what we had before. And the afterpay, we have to pay that off. So I've got the $500 debt. It's $125 a week. My payment, so then my minimum payment and my payment are exactly the same here. We are going to pay the $125 a week. The first payment date, now it was a Tuesday, so we'll say it's the 1st of May, and our final payment date for it will be the 25th of May. 22nd of May. Now, the next thing we are going to pay off here is our credit card, and we're also going to take the extra money that we have and pay up a little bit extra off the car loan. So if you can see, our minimum payment for our credit card would be $23.25 a week. We're going to start to knock that out of the park and pay $100 a week. That will take us a year to pay it off at a 0% interest rate. Okay, so we have to have moved it to a 0% interest rate to make that payment system work. Now, our car loan, because we've paid $125 a week on the afterpay, we're going to split that payment up a little bit and we're going to pay extra on the car loan at $75 a week. Now, that won't get it cleared off tomorrow or next week or even in 12 months, but it is working towards it. Now, if we were in that situation and you had car maintenance issues and you were really concerned about it, I would suggest putting the extra money for a while into a buffer and make sure that if you are having issues with car, you do need maintenance, that you have a buffer there for car maintenance. But I'd also start to look at, okay, so when can we pay off that 6,000 so you can sell it and not have a debt? Okay, you really need a safe, reliable transport. It's really important. So there's a few things that we would look at if your issue was, I don't have safe, reliable transport. Right, but in this case, we're just paying off the afterpay, paying off the credit card, doing a little bit extra towards the car loan, and then once we've cleared the credit card, we will really start to head into paying off the car loan. Now, I always do on whichever debt I decide to pay off, and this is my credit card that I do have. I ended up with a credit card when I fell pregnant because I knew my daughter's father was not going to help me out financially, and I could only work 2 days a week because that's as much as I could work, and have my heart shattered that I wasn't with my little girl anymore. So for me, I made a decision to get a credit card knowing that in the future I could pay it off, but it would give me a bit of support when I needed it during those first 2 years of her life and I was working less. So this is what I do to set it up. I have a date, I have the amount paid, additional charges. So there's an annual fee, there's a transfer fee there. This credit card was with a bank that will charge you interest on the fees they charge you, which is still okay according to the ACCC. So they were allowed to charge me the 11 cents, but it's a 0% credit card and I'm paying it back at a pace that I feel comfortable with. But I always do a spreadsheet up. So what I can see is, say I get an extra payment from, I don't know, the government, my tax return, I may choose to put it on that debt. I can then see how that impacts the balance that I have left. So any debt that I am paying, the one that I'm really focusing on, I always have a spreadsheet for, and I go through and make sure that it all flows and it all works together. So once I have my debt repayment plan, I have my spreadsheet set up, I just set it up in my bank. So the payment automatically comes out and I don't have to think about it ever again. Well, until the payment's finished. That's why I track it. So it just automatically is set up to keep being paid until such time as it is paid off. It's not something I will check it every now and then, maybe every 3 months, to make sure that everything's balancing out. If I think something's gone wrong or I've noticed that the payments aren't working, then I'll check it then too. But really, once you've set up your debt resolution plan, you shouldn't have to think about it anymore. It should just continue until it's finished. You can add extra and you can track it on your spreadsheet. Okay? So now, if there's any questions, I thought I'd go through some of the main questions that I get from people when I first meet them to do a debt resolution coaching process. And it's, is there a debt I should always pay down first? Now, the truth is, people have differing opinions. Some people say always pay your highest interest first. Some people say always pay the smallest amount first, so the smallest balance, because then you'll get it paid off quicker. The truth is, there is no right way to do it. There is the way that works best for you and your family. That's it. That's the right way to do it. It should allow you to still have entertainment. It should allow you to still have fun together. Okay, you may not be going on holidays to Disneyland, but you should still be able to go to the beach or have a picnic, or, it shouldn't suck you dry. Debt repayment is not about you never living until the debt's gone. Debt isn't evil and it's not a sin, and you shouldn't be punished for having to pay it off, which leads me into the next question I often get is, do I think debt is bad? No, no. Debt helped me get my nursing degree. Debt helped me get my home. Debt helped me get my car. I wasn't born into a family that was cash rich. But I was born into a family with a great work ethic, but not overly abundant in money in any way, shape, or form. And then at 20, my parents went bankrupt when I was 20 years old. So, no, I do not think debt is bad. Do I think that there are types of debt that you shouldn't get into? Yeah, I do, and that's one of the questions I get asked the most too, is, could I use a cash advance loan to get me out of trouble? So say you have that $500 Afterpay, you don't think you'll be able to make $125 per week payment, so you wanna get a cash advance loan to do it, to nimble it and move on. Please don't. Please don't. It's better for you to pay the late fee on the cash advance loan, on the Afterpay, than to get a cash advance loan. They're seriously, seriously bad. And if you look at the ASIC money site and really any reviews on that type of lending, you'll find that that is really not the way to get ahead. Okay, it'll only get you ultimately more and more behind. All right, so there are other ways of doing things. There are other ways of earning more money. There are other ways of clearing the debt than getting a cash advance loan. So debt isn't bad, but there are some forms of debt you should never ever get yourself into, because to get yourself out of it will be a huge struggle. Okay. Now, I wanted to say thank you and to let you know, if you want to talk to me, if you'd like to find out how either I can help or where you could go to get help, please feel free to call me. Please feel free to email me. I am on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram. If you go to Divine Money Matters on Facebook or Divine Money for Divine Women, then they're great places, and I will be able to answer questions, or in private or in public, if you just have a couple of questions you want to write on the screen. Until my next webinar, or until my next training, or until I see you again, please know that you have got this and you can get awesome with your money. Okay, it's just going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of focus. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.